When we talk about leadership in One Health, it's not just about scientific excellence. It's about the environment our state has built to make collaboration possible. And few people are as well positioned to shape that environment than our next speaker, Secretary David Adams. It is my pleasure to introduce Indiana Secretary of Commerce, David J. Adams. Secretary Adams serves as a member of Governor Mike Braun's cabinet and leads the state's efforts to strengthen workforce development, business expansion, and regional growth, advancing an economy built around people, talent, and opportunity. But he's not only a public leader, he's a lifelong entrepreneur. Early in his career, he helped found i2, a pioneering supply chain technology company that became a NASDAQ 50 firm and helped create the modern logistics management industry. That entrepreneurial mindset has guided every chapter of his career, from launching the Cincinnati Innovation District at the University of Cincinnati and serving as their first Chief Innovation Officer, to building nationally recognized models that connect universities, employers, and communities for shared growth. Kind of similar to what we're trying to do here, right, Secretary? Today, as Secretary of Commerce, he continues to lead a new era of people-powered prosperity, aligning Indiana's workforce, business, and regional leadership to accelerate opportunities across the state. His continued support of life sciences innovation will be vital to the mission we're here to discuss today, improving the health of people, pets, plants, and the environment. Please join me in welcoming Indiana Secretary of Commerce, David Adams.
Thank you, Vince. Much appreciated. Well, good morning. I noticed that when Vince stepped to the podium this morning, he put his glasses on. My eyesight is not as good as it used to be. I just make the font bigger. It works. Hey, by the way, the humor gets no better than this. Hey, so good morning. It's great to be here among business leaders, university partners, and public officials, all united by a shared belief that the future of Indiana's economy will not be defined by what we make, but by where and how we make it. For too long, economic development was measured by ribbon cuttings and incentive packages. But today, the equation is much simpler and far more profound. It's all about talent. Talent is drawn to locations where innovation occurs, and companies are drawn to places that have that talent. That's the modern economic formula. Economic development today requires placemaking, about creating places where people want to live, work, learn, and belong. Places where innovation can thrive because people are thriving. Here in Indiana, we have all the raw materials. We have talent, we have universities, we have employers and communities that believe in collaboration. But now our challenge is, how do we align them into a coherent story that the world can see and feel? Last month, I had the chance to visit Florence, Italy with my daughter. She went for the shopping, I went for the history. If you know anything about Florence, Italy, we now refer to it as the Renaissance. But what struck me wasn't just the art or architecture, which beyond breathtaking, it was the alignment of people, ideas, and purpose. By the way, Florence didn't happen by accident. It was intentionally designed. A deliberate convergence of artists, scientists, engineers, thinkers. The Medicis were the early venture capitalists of their time, patrons of innovation, who understood that when you invest in people and ideas, you ignite a movement. That movement the Medicis built was not just an investment in people, but was also building a system that lasted for centuries. Florence, in many ways, was the first world's innovation economy, ecosystem, or what's commonly referred to as a district today. A living ecosystem of talent, collaboration, and reinvestment. Walking those narrow streets, I couldn't think further about what we're trying to build here, right here in Indiana. Not carved in marble, but in human potential. Not painted on ceilings, but built in labs, startups, classrooms, and neighborhoods. Let's fast forward a few centuries to Kendall Square in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Once an industrial backwater filled with parking lots, crime, now considered the most innovative square mile on the planet. By the way, Kendall Square didn't evolve by accident either. It was intentional. MIT doubled down on its role as an anchor institution. Biotech companies clustered nearby. The city, the state streamlined permitting, zoning, partnerships. And over decades, not days, the world's leading innovation ecosystem emerged. Today, Kendall Square is not just a place, it's a brand. When you say Kendall Square to the biotech community, you don't have to explain what it is. Everyone knows. It's where science meets capital, it's where talent meets opportunity, and innovation meets speed. We can do that same thing here in Indiana, but it requires clarity of purpose and a willingness to define together what this place will stand for. So Indiana, the state, together with the federal government and the Lilly Endowment, is investing $1.25 billion through something we call the Regional Economic Acceleration and Development Initiative, or affectionately we call it READY. This is all about placemaking and helping communities. Under Governor Braun's leadership, he charged the Office of Commerce with defining what are the state's economic regions. We commissioned a study with Indiana University's Kelley School of Business, the Indiana Business Research Center, who, going back to Governor Daniels, actually looked at the economic growth regions. We looked at that, we looked at metropolitan cities, and we looked at the READY regions. And what we determined was the 15 READY regions are great representation of the economic regions here in Indiana. And that decision matters more than you might think. Because here's the truth. People don't move to Indiana. They move to a place within Indiana, whether it's Fort Wayne, Terre Haute, Evansville, Jeffersonville, or Indianapolis. Places that have their own unique character, opportunity, and sense of belonging. Growth is inherently regional. When a region defines their strategy, identity, aligns their assets, and leads what they want to accomplish for talent and innovation, the entire state grows stronger. That's what READY was designed to do: empower every part of Indiana to tell its own story and build its own future with a shared vision for statewide prosperity. Now let's talk about the assets we have right here in what we refer to as the Central Indiana region, which represents 9 counties centered around Marion, because they're extraordinary. If you think about at a high level, just some of the assets that are located here. We have the largest medicine company in the world, Lilly, headquartered here. Elanco, one of the leading independent animal health companies globally, is here. We happen to be in this wonderful facility today. Corteva is a global agricultural company. In Fishers, Roche and Incog are growing at the crossroads of research and commercial application. A reminder that innovation and scale fastest when industry and ideas collide together. Novartis, on the near west side, has an advanced manufacturing facility producing cancer drugs that must be administered to a patient within days of production. It's truly an engineering marvel. And you know what? It's based on a Purdue discovery. In 16 Tech, we have human health and digital innovation intersecting each and every day. And soon, with Heartland Bioworks, Indiana will be home to one of America's premier biomanufacturing talent pipelines. We have BioCrossroads, Agronovus, the Indiana Biosciences Research Institute, and IU Lab. At Indiana University, the IU School of Medicine, which I remind us is the largest medical school in the nation, and IU Health, translational research is moving breakthroughs from lab bench to bedside. At Purdue University, world-class engineers, biologists, data scientists are building the technologies that will define the next generation of life sciences and ag tech. We also have Ivy Tech, we have Marion University, we have a tremendous amount of assets right here. At LEAP, we're building one of the world's most advanced biomanufacturing hubs. A global statement that Indiana isn't following the race, we're actually leading it. And right here, the One Health Innovation District. This is a partnership between Elanco and Purdue University, building a world-class innovation ecosystem where talent will have a true live, work, learn, and play environment. If you take all these pieces together, One Health, 16 Tech, LEAP, IU, Purdue, our corporate partners, the other partners that are here, they form a connected ecosystem of talent and innovation. This region's story is not about isolated projects. It's about alignment. Indiana's competitive advantage over the coast is not scale or legacy. It's speed, agility, and the ability to operate at the pace of business. That's what we proved in Cincinnati. We filled a 125,000 square foot innovation facility in under 2 years by offering one simple thing, an easy button for business: speed, access, ease. It quickly became the Cincinnati Innovation District and became the model adopted by Governor DeWine for the state of Ohio. And now Indiana can do this at scale because we're aligning universities, employers, communities into one seamless systems. That's not just an innovation district, that's a movement. But here's our challenge. We all understand the assets that exist here, but the world does not. Boston has Kendall Square. North Carolina has Research Triangle Park. Atlanta has Tech Square. Silicon Valley has, well, they got Silicon Valley. Each of those names tell the world exactly what it is and why it matters. So my challenge to all of us in this room, the leaders here, is this. We have to define what this region will be called and what it will stand for. And as importantly, how the world's going to experience it. We need three things. We need a unified vision, what this ecosystem will become. We need a plan, how we'll make it real with speed and intention. And we need a front door. We need a single place where talent, investors, companies can quickly navigate and connect to the opportunity to solve their problems. That's what will make this region and Indiana not just a place that participates in the future, but one that defines it. If there's one model of what's possible, it's right here in what we're in today, the One Health Innovation District, a partnership between Elanco and Purdue, from veterinary science to actual application of new vaccines, the collaboration between students and businesses to bring innovation to life. No other state brings together life sciences, agriculture, and biomanufacturing the way that Indiana does. From molecule to medicine, from seed to solution, we are the world's lifeline. This is the power of convergence. This is the power of one. And like Florence, we have our own Medicis, not a family, but a system, our universities, our companies, our civic leaders, and our entrepreneurs, each investing in human potential, not as charity, but as strategy. The Renaissance taught us that progress is never accidental. It happens when people believe in the power of human potential and when regions act with purpose, speed, and unity. That's our charge today, to align our assets, to invest in our people, and to tell our story to the world. Because when we move as one vision, one system, one region, there's nothing we can't achieve. This is Indiana's moment. This is our Renaissance. This is the power of one. Thank you very much.